So what exactly is trauma? Oddly enough, there's lots of debates over the definitions of trauma. There's even more discussions on what symptoms make up PTSD. Most everyone agrees that trauma comes from situations where your life is in immediate danger. Trauma can also come from being close to someone who's had this happen to them. Sometimes it's being forced to watch it happen to someone else. The idea of what is immediate danger can be really hard to define. It can be very different from person to person. What one person experiences as danger and trauma may not be the same for someone else. When I talk with kids and teens about trauma, I usually refer to the 4 T's of trauma: terrible, terrified, trapped, and totally alone. It's recommended that you take a look at the kids' version of what is trauma, as well as the terrible things some kids go through video. They're both pretty short and help to understand trauma at a very basic level. In addition to threatened death or injury as one of the main elements of trauma, the manual for diagnosing trauma also states that it's a threat to physical integrity of self or others. I would expand this to mental, emotional, biological, and relational integrity of self or others. The word integrity used to trip me up some. I used to think of integrity as acting honestly and could not see how that connected to trauma. Then I remembered that sometimes integrity is used when we're talking about a boat or a structure. If a boat has integrity, it means that it is completely intact and can withstand being on rough waters without breaking apart. Trauma disrupts our feeling of being whole and complete. In the moments of trauma and then following, we feel cracked and broken, as though we may fall apart. As we'll see in future lessons, there are biological disconnections that happen across our bodies and brains that physically impact our sense of personal integrity. This feeling of being disconnected has long-term impacts on how we view ourselves and the world. The locked up or trapped feeling of being disconnected actually becomes stored in our body in memories we usually aren't aware of. So what are the things that can create all of these disconnections? This can also be confusing. There are many types of situations that can cause trauma, ranging from physical or sexual abuse, to neglect, to long-term mental or emotional abuse by parents or other people in positions of authority, war, bullying, and lots of situations that just seem to happen to people. As researchers continue to study trauma, we're more aware of other events in the home that interrupt healthy development. This can include someone in the home with substance abuse issues or mental illness, having a caregiver or a family member with a chronic illness or pain, witnessing or hearing violence between parents and or your siblings, someone being taken from the home by the police, community violence in your neighborhood, emotional and verbal abuse, as well as neglect where basic needs of food and hygiene aren't met. Lots of research indicates all of these events are believed to lead to negative health outcomes as adults. What about bullying? This is a huge issue leading to a widespread sense of helplessness in kids, and may be the #1 factor leading to adolescent suicide. What about undiagnosed learning and developmental delays where kids are accused of simply not trying when in fact they just aren't able? I suggest that having to face this day after day with the hopeless expectation of ever succeeding constitutes helplessness and a trapped feeling with no ability to escape. How about bullying in the workplace? Constant ridicule by bosses or coworkers, where any type of retaliation has the potential to cost you your job and the ability to earn a living. Does underemployment and chronic poverty count as trauma? This leads to the idea of having to identify small and large T trauma. Large T is usually easy to identify. It's typically the acute or severe episodes that can happen once or multiple times. Small t is not so evident, and yet is usually more common. There are multiple episodes that tear away at us on an ongoing basis without seeming to be significant if they only happen just once. It's the cumulative impact of these small traumas that probably is more damaging. One attempt to define different aspects of trauma is the Adverse Childhood Experiences study conducted by Kaiser. This was a study that had 10 survey items of trauma that may happen to people. The results of this survey were then considered in terms of the long-term mental and physical impact that these traumas can have. The results are staggering regarding how trauma can impact our long-term physical health. Please be sure to take the ACEs assessment to see where you might fit into these situations. Be sure to read up on the long-term mental as well as physical impact these traumas can bring if not processed and resolved. What other ideas can you think of regarding what constitutes traumatic experiences? What types of experiences might be contributing to your situation? A more in-depth assessment is also available in the handouts. The Traumatic Antecedents Questionnaire was developed by Bessel van der Kolk and highlights 40 potential traumatic events that people experience. It also breaks these experiences into different times of life that they may have happened. Please take the time to complete the Traumatic Antecedents Questionnaire before moving on to the next section. Later, we will come back to the experiences you may have had and look more closely at how they've impacted you in the past. More importantly, how they may still be impacting you today.